Hey scholars, it is Fantastic Friday! Yay for Friday! So with our new schedule, you have assignments due every Monday and Friday. So make sure you send in your assignment at the end of this video to myself via picture, email, text, however I need to see that assignment, okay? So make sure you get it done. Today it is Domain 11, Lesson 7, Discovery and Danger on the Prairie. Yesterday we had Writing Studio, so today we're back to core knowledge and our read-alouds. We will have our vocab at-bats. I've updated the shout-outs just a little bit. We're doing it a little differently. We'll do our objective and our vocabulary words. We'll do our read-aloud. We'll check our understanding, of course, and then I'll walk you through the packet work, okay? Let's get started. Vocab at-bats. Who's got the word? Lewis and Clark were picked to lead the Diary of the Louisiana Territory. Lewis and Clark were picked to lead the Expedition of the Louisiana Territory. Lewis and Clark were picked to lead the Corps of the Louisiana Territory. 3, 2, 1. Lewis and Clark were picked to lead the Expedition of the Louisiana Territory. Several members of the group kept a diary of what happened from day to day. Several members of the group kept an expedition of what happened from day to day. Several members of the group kept a corps of what happened from day to day. 3, 2, 1. Several members of the group kept a diary of what happened from day to day. They called their group the Discovery Diary. They called their group the Discovery Communicate. They called their group the Discovery Corps. 3, 2, 1. They called their group the Discovery Corps. Teachers send texts and emails to diary with each other. Teachers send texts and emails to communicate with each other. Teachers send texts and emails to corps with each other. 3, 2, 1. Teachers send texts and emails to communicate with each other. There you go. All right, shout outs. So first up, ISU shout outs. Shout out to numbers 7, 8, 18, and 23 in ISU. Those are the scholars that I have gotten Monday's assignment from. Make sure you're sending me those assignments to get on the shout out board. If you send me Friday's assignment and Monday's assignment, you'll notice next week your number is bold, which means I got both pieces of work, which is awesome. And now Ashford, shout out to numbers 1, 3, 7, 13, 14, 15, 17, 19, 24, 25, and 27. Wow, 11 of you in Ashford made sure I got your assignment from Monday. Make sure you send me your assignment today to get on the shout out board, okay? All right, we're moving into the next part, which is objective. We learn all about it. I can use a checklist and write a sentence about what Lewis and Clark have accomplished. I can use a checklist and write a sentence about what Lewis and Clark have accomplished. Vocabulary. The first word you need to know is guided. The first word you need to know is guided. Guided means led. Guided simply means led. The dog guided the man through the train station. The next word we need to know is honored. The next word we need to know is honored. Honored means admired and respected. Admired and respected. He was honored for his service to his country at the special ceremony. The next word we need to know, we've heard this before, is prairie. The next word we need to know is prairie. Prairie is a large flat area of land covered in grass. We've heard about a grassland before, so this is a large flat land covered in grass. The grass on the prairie waved as the wind blew. So where are we? Of course. Let's find it on our map. First and foremost, we're finding the Atlantic Ocean. All right, I'm going to give you 10 seconds to point to the Atlantic Ocean, and then I'm going to draw a blue circle around where it is. 10 seconds to find it. Where is the Atlantic Ocean? Okay, the Atlantic Ocean is right here. So this whole area here is the Atlantic Ocean. All right, next, point to the Appalachian Mountains. I'm going to circle the Appalachian Mountains in light green. Point to the Appalachian Mountains. Appalachian Mountains are right here. The words are on the map to help you, okay? Next, I want you to find the Mississippi River. I'm trying to trick you here. Don't get tricked. The Mississippi River. I'm going to get ready to draw a blue line through the Mississippi River. Where is the Mississippi River? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. The Mississippi River is all along through here. See it? All along through there. There's the Mississippi River. Okay, next we're going to find the Rocky Mountains. Ooh, Rocky Mountains. Again, I'm getting ready. I'm going to circle it in dark green this time. Point to the Rocky Mountains. 3, 2, 1. The Rocky Mountains are all the way over here. These are the Rocky Mountains here. Ooh, the Louisiana Purchase. Point to the Louisiana Purchase, just anywhere. Where's the Louisiana Purchase on this map? I'm going to give you 7 seconds on this one because it's not clearly labeled, but I think you've got a good idea. Louisiana Purchase, I'm going to put a red star. There's the Louisiana Purchase here, right? It's this whole green area. Ooh, the Missouri River. Point to the Missouri River. This is super important, especially for today's read aloud. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the Missouri River, I'm drawing a purple line through it. We can already see it's kind of got a line because it's the route that Lewis and Clark are planning to take, the Missouri River. So there's our map. We found the Atlantic Ocean, Appalachian Mountains, Rocky Mountains, Louisiana Purchase, Mississippi River, Missouri River. Ooh, we need to find the Pacific Ocean. Point to the Pacific Ocean. Point to the Pacific Ocean. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The Pacific Ocean is all the way over here. This whole area here is the Pacific Ocean. So we need these places in mind as we're talking about where Lewis and Clark are coming from and where they're going, where they're coming from and where they're going. They're starting in St. Louis and they're heading west towards the Rocky Mountains, towards the Pacific Ocean. But why? Why are they going west? Why are they exploring the Louisiana Territory? Like, of course, they can be kind of like Daniel Boone, like, oh, hey, we're going to go do this. But what specifically are they hoping to accomplish on this expedition? Let's review. The first task they have is make friends with Native Americans. That's their first task, make friends with Native Americans. Their second task, find an all-water route to the Pacific Ocean. Remember, a lot of you have pointed this out in your work too, that it's much easier to go on the water than it is to walk on the land. So if they can find an all-water route to the Pacific Ocean, it'll be much easier for people to get there. They'll be able to really spread out and settle all of this open land. So their second task, find that all-water route to the Pacific Ocean. The third task, collect samples of plants and animals they see along the way. So they need to befriend Native Americans, they need to collect samples of plants and animals along the way, and they need to find that all-water route to the Pacific Ocean. So all in all, they've got some huge tasks ahead of them. I want you to go ahead and get in your GLP because you guys have such amazing GLP. And I want you to listen to find out which of their tasks they're going to accomplish today and if they're going to be successful. I want you to listen to find out which of their tasks they're going to try to accomplish and will they be successful. All right? So get in that GLP and here we go. On July 19th, 1804, William Clark found himself at the edge of the ocean. It was not the Pacific Ocean, the vast sea to the west that Clark and his friends hoped to reach. In fact, it was not an ocean of water at all. It was a large flat area of land covered in grass called a prairie. So a prairie is a grassland. Remember, back in Domain 8, we learned about the savanna. That's a type of grassland. A prairie is another kind of grassland. It's very flat, and there's a lot of grass and not a lot of trees. A prairie goes on as far as the eye can see, just like the ocean. Clark was out hunting for the expedition and spotted some elk tracks, which he followed up a hill. He later described what he found at the top. I came suddenly into an open and boundless prairie. I could not see the edges in any direction. This was so sudden and entertaining that I forgot the elk I'd been following. Clark had reached the eastern edge of what we today call the Great Plains. Wild grass as high as Clark's knees stretched out and blew gently in the wind, interrupted every so often by a hill or a grove of trees. That sea of grass stretched all the way to the distant Rocky Mountains, which would take the Corps of Discovery weeks more to reach. So remember, the Corps of Discovery is the group that's traveling with Lewis and Clark. During those weeks, the explorers saw many plants and animals that were new to them. Meriwether Lewis was especially fascinated, or very interested in, the pronghorn antelope, called pronghorns for short. He tried to get close enough to draw pictures of them, but the pronghorns always ran away. Pronghorns have incredibly sharp eyesight and a strong sense of smell to warn them of approaching danger. When Lewis finally came close enough to a pronghorn and got a good look at the long curved horns that gave the animal its name, he wrote, "The speed of this animal is equal, if not superior, to that of the finest racing horse. The pronghorn is my favorite of all the animals we have encountered so far." The explorers were also astonished by the prairie dog, a tiny rodent. These little creatures, related to squirrels, lived together by the thousands in what the men came to call prairie dog towns. The prairie dog towns consisted of underground tunnels that sometimes stretched for miles across the flat plains. "We have to catch one of these to send back to President Jefferson," William Clark declared. But catching a prairie dog was not so easy. One prairie dog, standing guard above its hole in the ground, saw the men coming and chirped a high-pitched warning. Instantly, all the creatures dived down into the ground. The men dug down after them, but found that the tunnels went down more than 6 feet below the surface. Spreading out in all directions with emergency exits to escape their many predators, hawks, coyotes, and snakes, all of whom considered the prairie dogs to be delicious snacks. Clark wrote down their findings about the prairie dog and pronghorn antelope in his journal. Still following the Missouri River across the prairie, the expedition moved on. Soon they began to meet new tribes of Native Americans. Most were friendly and welcoming, especially one tribe called the Yankton Sioux. A few of the Yanktons guided or led the travelers for a few days, but then said, "You are coming into the land of the Teton Sioux. We will not be able to guide you any longer." Lewis and Clark had already heard about the Teton Sioux. President Jefferson wanted them to become friends with the Teton Sioux. However, the Teton Sioux were not interested in trade with the settlers and did not want to allow Lewis and Clark on their land. So we've heard about the discovery part of the read aloud for today's title, the discovery. They discovered all these new animals. I think we're about to hit the danger part. It's about to get dangerous. Let's get dangerous. One September afternoon, John Coulter, one of the expedition's best hunters, was following the tracks of an animal. Coulter dismounted or got off from his horse to look more closely. Some Teton Sioux, hiding among the nearby trees on their own horses, shouted and rushed forward, riding off with Coulter's horse. Coulter walked back to the river and reported to Lewis and Clark what had happened. Minutes later, 5 Teton Sioux appeared on the shore, calling out to talk to Lewis and Clark. Captain Clark answered, "We will not speak to you until our horse is returned." Minutes later, more than 200 Teton Sioux warriors, armed with bows and arrows, rode out from the trees and spread out along the riverbank. Warriors are people who fight in battle. The Teton Sioux were prepared to fight to protect their land. Captain Lewis remembered that President Jefferson wanted them to be friends with the Teton Sioux. He quietly ordered, "Stop the boats and hold them steady here in the middle of the river." Clark, smiling, called, "We come as friends from our great chief, The chief that he's talking about is, of course, President Jefferson. Clark continued, "We invite your chiefs to come and see our great boat." Clark ordered a few sailors to row him to shore in a pirogue, and after greeting the three main chiefs, Clark brought two of them aboard the keelboat. There, he and Lewis were friendly to the Teton Sioux and gave them gifts. Then Clark and the oarsmen took the chiefs back to shore. Meanwhile, Captain Lewis stood ready on the keelboat's bow, the front part of the ship, and his soldiers kept rifles in their hands or right by their sides in case of trouble. Everything seemed to be going well until suddenly one chief shouted, "Your gifts are not good enough. You may not return to your big boat until you give us better gifts." Sioux warriors grabbed the pirogue's rope and held it securely. Oh no, that doesn't look good. Clark knew that the Teton Sioux honored courage, so they admired and respected people who acted bravely. If he showed any sign of weakness in this moment, the Tetons might attack. Even if there were no fights, any chance of a strong friendship with the Tetons would disappear. Clark whipped his sword out, holding it high, firmly demanding, "Release our boat at once! Back on the keelboat!" Lewis ordered his men. "Prepare arms! Only on my order may you fire, and not a second before." Instantly, the soldiers raised their rifles. In answer, the Tetons raised their bows and set arrows ready to shoot at the Corps of Discovery. No one moved. The silence stretched out for a long, tense moment. Then a Sioux chief told the warriors who held the rope, "Let go." They obeyed. Clark told his oarsmen, "Return to the keelboat." One of his men asked quietly, "Without you, sir?" "I gave you an order," said Clark in a voice that sounded much calmer than he actually felt. As the pirogue pushed off from the riverbank, Teton warriors surrounded Clark. Lewis could see only his friend's hat over the shoulders of the Sioux. Lewis gave orders, and as the pirogue reached the keelboat, a number of armed soldiers got into the pirogue and started back for Clark. But then, suddenly, the Tetons moved away from Clark. Clark's bravery had impressed the Tetons. The Tetons thought that Clark was brave because he stood up to them. They smiled in friendship and invited members of the expedition to their village. The explorers accepted the invitation. The Corps of Discovery had survived a dangerous situation. What they did not know was that even greater dangers and even greater victories still lay ahead. Wow, that was exciting. Oh my goodness. Whew. Let's take a breath. That got intense there, guys. Okay, now it is time to check my understanding. What is the area called where today's read aloud took place? What do we call that area? If you said prairie or grasslands, you're absolutely correct. Ooh, what animals did Lewis and Clark encounter? What animals did they encounter? If you said pronghorn and prairie dog, you're absolutely correct. Before Lewis and Clark's explorations, pioneer families living in the United States had not explored or settled the Louisiana Territory. Who had been living on that land for thousands of years? Who was already living there? All right, in the read aloud, Lewis and Clark met two different Native American tribes, the Yankton Sioux and the Teton Sioux. So there's the Yankton Sioux, right? There's the Yankton Sioux. And there's the Teton Sioux. How were the meetings with the two tribes different? How are they different? These pictures are going to come back up. How are they the same? So, the Yankton Sioux on this side and the Teton Sioux. How are the meetings with the two tribes different? How are they different? How are they the same? How are they the same? Right, so if you said they're the same because they did eventually befriend them, you're absolutely correct. If you said they're different because one was helpful and one took a little bit of courage, you got that right too. Yeah, I mean, just look at those pictures. That looks like night and day in that moment. Which of President Jefferson's tasks did Lewis and Clark accomplish in this read aloud? Which of their tasks? So, here is your packet work for today. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk you through that checklist that's included, right? So make friends with Native Americans, find the all-water route to the Pacific, and collect samples of plants and animals. So make friends with Native Americans. You can go ahead and put a check mark in that box because they absolutely did. They absolutely have made friends with 2 different tribes, especially the Teton Sioux. They were told specifically, be friends with the Teton Sioux, and they have. And I'm going to put a mark here, although I'm not going to check it completely, because they've encountered some very different plants and animals. We just haven't heard about any samples they've collected yet. So, which of their tasks did they accomplish? Make sure your checklist matches mine exactly, and then you can go on and do your restate answer. The tasks they've accomplished are, the tasks they've accomplished are, or the tasks they accomplished is. Get it? Got it? Good? So I want you to send me a picture of this assignment. If you don't get it to me until Monday, that's fine. To get on the shout out board for the upcoming videos, make sure I have a picture of your completed assignment, okay? All right. And that is our lesson for today. It was so exciting. Oh my gosh, my heart was pounding as I was reading about what was going to happen with the Teton Sioux. So make sure I get a picture of that packet page, that restate answer, so you can get on the shout out board and get your team point. And make sure that you reach out with any questions. If you need to go back to a different part of the video, you absolutely can, okay? Stay home, stay safe, have a great weekend. I miss you all so much, and I hope to see you soon.